Greetings, everyone, and welcome. November the 27th, 2025. And from me and my family to all of you, happy Thanksgiving. No matter where you are at in this world, we are very grateful for you and your support and your care. Now, let's jump straight to it. Today, I'm focusing on Vladimir Putin, especially in this first update, because he has concluded a press conference where he spoke very openly, very frankly, and very candid about different situations. And I truly believe that this is his genuine perspective. He's talking about Ukraine must leave the battlefield. He talks about the difference between de facto and de jure. He talks about frontline plans, the cities of Guliapol. He talks about the leaks, Witkoff's, his disappointment with the United States, and once again, back to everything is based on Alaska. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. You are going to hear it all. It is translated, voiced over, subtitled, and you can determine for yourself. So the thumbnail here, Ukraine must leave. That's what he says. He also says we had an agreement, an understanding in Alaska, and that's it. So let's jump straight into it. And we'll do this kind of like an interview, and we'll see Putin's responses. So first question here, number one is, Putin, in his own words, when will the war in Ukraine end?
We still have proposals coming in about ceasing hostilities. But when Ukrainian troops leave the areas that they're now occupying, then the hostilities will cease.
Oh, hello, everybody. When the Ukrainian troops leave the territory they're occupying, then the hostilities will cease. He just flipped the entire narrative from being the one who is occupied to now calling Ukraine the occupier of their own sovereign territory. That is directly in his words, and I believe that is his absolute clear perspective. He did not even speak about certain regions and certain places. He just says the occupier has to leave. And of course, referring to Ukraine. Let's get to the second question here. What about the wording that we keep hearing from that American potential peace plan that the territories of like Donetsk region, Zaporizhia, Kherson would be recognized as de facto versus de jure? So in case you're hearing this and you do not know what that means, let me help you. De jure means by law and describes something that is legally recognized, while de facto means in fact. And that refers to something that exists in reality, even if it is not legally recognized. So we have heard that Russia would de facto be the owners of the territory that they are given, handed, whatever the result would be, but not de jure. And that is a huge sticking point for Putin.
If Crimea and the Donbass are not recognized de jure, how, how can they recognize the de facto and not de jure? Well, this will be something to discuss with the United States. Thank you for noticing it in the plan. It's one of the key issues, really.
There you go, giving it as he's walking away. It's one of the key issues, really. This recognition, de facto versus de jure. So it's easy. I mean, we really, on this Thanksgiving Day here, we have the window cracking wide open as to what Putin is really thinking. So let's go to the third question now, and that is, what about the front? What about the front lines? Will the Ukrainian front lines collapse? Or do we continue, for example, like our approach to the city of Guliapol? Now, he's going to talk specifically about Guliapol, and I want you, before you hear it, to see where it is on the map. So, this is the southern front, and Guliapol is really a big stronghold for Ukraine. City of about 12, 14,000 pre-war, fortress city. Additionally, this push here into Orikhiv, another fortress city, but sitting right here is what he really wants. That's the city of Zaporizhia. Additionally, Russia wants to push up to Pokrovsk. This is not Pokrovsk, Pokrovsk. And he's actually going to talk about going around Guliapol and cutting off the back door. So the plans are there, but this is the region of the front we're talking about. And if you're wondering, Pokrovsk battle is right up there. So let's get to it. Putin talking about the front.
This means that we are close to Guliapol, which is an important logistics hub. They're very close. And they will certainly move on after they pass that point, whether they capture it or not.
Okay. Regardless of capturing or not Guliapol, we're going beyond that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have been wondering whether Putin wants to stop war or not, stop wondering. We're going on.
And what this leads us to is that all this fortified area will be circumvented. They will just bypass it through the north, and this may lead to a collapse of the Ukrainian front in that area. And this is what makes the difference between those who want to achieve a peace at any cost in the West, even if it means that Ukraine has to make concessions, and others. Because if what's happened in Kupiansk also be happening in other parts of the front, then a collapse will be inevitable.
That is, in his own words, exactly what he's looking for. So once again, you heard him in his own words. So we're talking about Guliapol here. We're talking about Pokrovsk. Up here is Dobropilia this way. So he's talking about trying to circumvent, because Ukraine has very fortified lines in this direction, and try to get behind and collapse. So this, in just this particular front, is what he is talking about. It's easy to evaluate this for yourself and understand that Putin wants war. But now, the final clip, we're really going to confirm it, because I'll pause a couple of spots that you really need to pay attention to, but this clip's a little bit longer as we close out this Thanksgiving update, and it is, what about the leaks? What about Witkoff? What about Alaska? What about the relations with the United States? This is so important to hear. Here we go.
Well, as to the leaks, as they say, it could be fake, or it could be an eavesdropped conversation, which is a criminal act in Russia, by the way. You cannot just eavesdrop. I think those who are eavesdropping must be tracking their own affairs better. But even if you're trying to spy on someone, you should do that with skill.
Okay. Are you hearing the KGB come out of him? You know, if you're going to spy and you're going to do that stuff, you probably should do a better job. Because right now, a lot of pressure coming down that it's actually Ukraine that leaked all of this, or Britain, European Union. We don't know. But he's saying, but if you're going to do this, you really need to do it with skill and be a professional about it. It's fun. Guys, I need to interject that right here over the next 20 seconds of audio, when I was uploading this video, it got flagged for some reason for copyright infringement. I have no idea why, so I have edited out those 20 seconds, and I have voiced over Putin, so it'll go straight to that and then come back into the original video, and hopefully we're okay. Thank you for understanding. So about the nature of those leaks, and all of you guys see that I have a very busy day full of activities, but I just had to come and spend time talking with you, but generally speaking, what is the problem with these leaks? It's not about us. It's about different opinions clashing between the collective West as a whole.
And within them, on what should be done to stop the war, what should be done and to make it stop.
Okay. He's now saying we have no fault in anything. And the West, Europe, or United States, or a mixture of Europe and United States, trying to figure out how to make this war stop. But we're not at fault of anything. Remember earlier, he wants to kick Ukraine out because they're occupiers. This is the best insight into his mind that I've seen probably since the war began. This is clear. Now he's going to talk about Witkoff.
We had a meeting with Mr. Witkoff before Anchorage, then I went to Alaska, and we had talks. On the whole, I got the impression that we understood where we stand and what should be done to stop the war.
Okay, I want to pause there one moment, make sure you understand what he's saying there with the translation. He says, I went to Alaska, met with Witkoff first. Remember, it was Witkoff meetings. Then, oh, we've got this Alaska meeting. That's what he's talking about. Then we went to Alaska. I thought we had everything figured out, everything understood, and we were going to get all this finished up quickly. That's what he's saying. I once again remind almost on a daily basis that something happened in Alaska where there was some type of agreement between the United States and Russia that has completely fallen apart, and Russia, Putin, will never let go. He's like a dog with a bone. He's not going to let go of Alaska. It is going to be like an albatross. It's like an anchor around the neck of the Americans. I'm sorry, and I'm an American who was negotiating there, not understanding that once you make a statement, Russians will never back off of it.
Lavrov and Rubio met in New York, the sidelines of the General Assembly meeting, and they did have a conversation, but I cannot say that there was any conflict between Russia and the US. We stayed on the Anchorage platform. And then the United States announced sanctions against our two major oil companies. Where did that come out from? I really was confused. I didn't understand where that came from.
Now, in addition to that, because this guy's voicing it over, Putin actually said, "Chestno ya skazhu," "Chestno ya skazhu," and it wasn't translated there, but what he said was, honestly, I'm telling you honestly, I don't know where these sanctions came from. We had an agreement in Anchorage.
So, accusing Mr. Witkoff of being too kind on his Russian colleagues would be really unjustified. We did meet and we did talk, and we met in Alaska, as I said. And then, when the relations seem to be rebuilding, introduce those sanctions that are certainly destructive for our relations.
Listen closely. The sanctions on Lukoil and Rosneft are destructive for our relations.
As I said, it's really unclear for us what kind of sign is that. What does this gesture mean? And apparently Mr. Witkoff is going to Moscow on instructions of President Trump to talk with us. It would be surprising if he talked with Ushakov and swear and using swear words, and then he just came here and tried to rebuild the relations, to improve the negotiating positions. It would be just nonsense.
Let me interpret. Witkoff, I don't blame him. He's done a good job. You know, you can't blame him for anything. Of course, he's on your team. It's obvious. Second, so he's going to come chat with us. Well, ultimately, that's fine. Come on over. But, you know, we don't really have a good faith partner to chat with now, is what he was saying. That's why he was making reference to the swear words and the nonsense. Those are some of the personal leaked conversations. And what does that mean? He said it at the end. Just nonsense. That is where we're at today, November the 27th, 2025. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. This is facts only. You've heard it direct out of the voice, out of the mouth of Vladimir Putin. You guys be blessed. And once again, happy Thanksgiving.